Hey friends, today is January 9th, and I thought for today's video, we would go over Paladin, since it's receiving significant changes in Final Fantasy XIV's patch 6.3, Gods Revel, Lands Tremble. With the iteration of Paladin prior to 6.3, they have a few ways they can handle their rotation, alternating between the magical Requiescat window and the physical Fight-or-Flight window. Depending on your skill speed, you may opt for different rotations. The one in this video is highlighting the fast rotation, which means opening the encounter with a pre-pulled Holy Spirit into a Fight-or-Flight window, which contains a Riot Blade, Goring Blade, Royal Authority combo, 3 Atonements, and then Goring Blade combo again before entering your Requiescat window. Requiescat contains 4 Holy Spirits, Confiteor, and your Blades of Faith, Truth, and Valor. Now as it stands, Paladin is missing a personal cooldown that the 3 other tanks in the game currently possess. Warrior has Thrill of Battle, which increases their maximum HP by 20% as well as adding a healing received buff. Dark Knight has Dark Mind, which mitigates additional magic damage. And Gunbreaker has Camouflage, which reduces extra physical damage as well as flat percent mitigation. Now during the live letter for patch 6.3, Yoshi did say that Bulwark is making a return. Bulwark is an old ability that used to increase your block rate for a period of time. This wasn't that strong because it did not give you 100% block rate and could not be paired with Sheltron, which gives you a guaranteed block, effectively rendering it useless. My speculation is that Bulwark is going to come back and either provide 100% block rate for a duration, or give you percent mitigation as well as block, like Camouflage does with Gunbreaker's parry. Now, they could just give it straight mitigation, but we'll see soon enough if that's the route they take. I'm skeptical to this because they did say that they're changing Holy Sheltron to be a flat mitigation reduction instead of blocking, so it would stand to reason that Bulwark could come back by providing blocks. Or maybe blocks going away entirely. This is an awesome opportunity for them to change how Divine Veil and Passage of Arms operate. They could cause Passage of Arms to be 15% reduction for everybody, including the Paladin, or Divine Veil could affect the Paladin as well, or maybe, since they're reworking Paladin, they'll add more firepower and remove one of those party-wide mitigations. Which leads us to the next point I'd like to talk about. Are they going to add more button bloat, or maybe, will they be replacing skills that currently exist? Now it's unlikely that they're going to remove any of the actions added in Endwalker, which begs the question, which actions would get replaced? Well, there are 2 glaring skills that have been overly underwhelming for a very long time. Shield Bash and Cover. Shield Bash is an attack on the GCD that interrupts your combo that provides a low potency attack that stuns the opponent for 6 seconds. Cover is a defensive cooldown that redirects damage that somebody else would take to you. This used to be great and provided 20% mitigation flat for you in addition to whatever cooldowns you pressed. The deficit is now it has a long cooldown, costs your shield oath gauge, and doesn't even work on all damage types. Which means that if you were to die, get up and try to cover to redirect damage that you were supposed to take, you can't even do it because you don't have the gauge. Over the years, this ability has been gutted, and I can't help but think that Cover, in its current iteration, doesn't really have a place in Final Fantasy XIV at the time. Now, maybe they're going to restructure it and change it and make it useful again outside of very niche situations. Or maybe it's going away. Dark Knight's Dark Mind and Gunbreaker's Aurora are both unlocked at level 45.
Cover is a level 45 ability. It would stand to reason that by replacing this with Bulwark, after unlocking Sheltron, it would thematically make sense. It would unlock mitigation at about the same level as the other tanks.
Now you might be thinking to yourself by now, yeah, those 2 buttons are pretty useless. But there's one thing you should try to remember. This expansion, we are getting a new deep dungeon, Eureka Orthos. Yeah, what does that have to get to do with anything? Well, sometimes in Deep Dungeon, like Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High, you will encounter floors where you have a debuff prohibiting the use of abilities. Might not seem like a big deal at the time, but when you remember that now you can't use crowd control abilities like Low Blow, suddenly Shield Bash becomes significantly more powerful. And while I haven't touched on Clemency being an on-heal GCD that kind of sucks to use in raids, it's extremely powerful in situations like this, where your heal on the GCD can be used multiple times in a row to get past something like Behemoth in Palace of the Dead's floor 180, or just floors where you can't use abilities in general. Here is an example of a floor where this is the case. You can use a Pomander of Serenity to cleanse the affixes on the floor, but those are limited commodities, and you may wish to save them on floors where it is more disadvantageous towards you. So, What do we think's going to happen tonight? My guess? Goring Blade's probably going to have the potency of the dot condensed into a single attack and might be put on a 20 to 30 second cooldown so that it aligns with 1 minute and 2 minute burst, as they're trying to homogenize classes a little bit, and that seems to be the direction they want to go. I suspect if Royal Authority stays the same, that either Royal Authority or Goring Blade are going to require this recast. Otherwise, it would be unnecessary to choose between the two if they do the same thing. Now, they did say completing a combo will grant you a stack of Holy Spirit. Maybe Holy Spirit will require a cast to use it, or maybe you'll still be able to use it the same as you were before. Either way, I'm sensing some Gunbreaker vibes. We'll get to see how it is tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing what they have in store. What do you guys think is going to happen? We'll be jumping into Paladin tomorrow with the 24-player alliance, as we respectfully tank Nofika, and then continue on our day. There's a whole slew of new content, and Omega Ultimate is right around the corner. I'll be here next time. Will you?